There's a hauntingly familiar pull between the super empath and the dismissive avoidant, a connection that feels almost magnetic, yet painfully destabilizing. The empath feels deeply, loves fearlessly, and senses emotions most people can't even name. The avoidant, on the other hand, loves in silence, protects themselves through distance, and fears the very intimacy they crave. Together they create an emotional dance. One reaches out to connect, while the other instinctively pulls away. But what if this isn't just about incompatible personalities? What if beneath the surface lies something far more powerful, an energetic bond that transcends logic and psychology? Many empaths describe feeling the avoidant's energy, even when there's no contact, as if an invisible cord keeps pulling them back. The avoidant might suppress their feelings, but somehow, they too are drawn to the empath's light, returning just when the empath finally starts to detach. This pattern isn't random. It's rooted in the way trauma, attachment wounds, and energy dynamics intertwine. The empath's instinct to heal mirrors the avoidant's need to feel safe enough to love, creating a loop that's both intoxicating and exhausting. You'll see how emotional unavailability meets emotional depth, how love becomes both a refuge and a battlefield, and how this unseen energetic bond can keep two people tied together long after words and logic have failed. If you've ever wondered why you can't let go, even when you know it's hurting you, or why they always come back when you finally move on, this exploration will uncover the truth behind that mysterious pull. It's not weakness, it's energetic chemistry, and understanding it is the first step to breaking free. A super empath isn't just someone who feels deeply. They're a rare type of empath with an extraordinary level of emotional perception, intuitive awareness, and energetic sensitivity. They don't just understand how others feel, they absorb those emotions, almost as if they become their own. In relationships, this gift can feel like both a blessing and a curse. Psychologically, the super empath's nervous system is finely tuned to emotional frequencies. They can read the subtle shifts in tone, body language, and silence that most people miss. This deep attunement often develops in childhood, especially in environments where love had to be earned through caretaking, emotional regulation, or pleasing others. Over time, the super empath learns to survive by anticipating moods and soothing emotional chaos, becoming the emotional anchor in every relationship. But beneath this strength lies a hidden vulnerability, an unconscious belief that their worth depends on saving others. This is what makes them magnetically drawn to the dismissive avoidant, someone whose emotional walls challenge the empath's deepest wound. I am only lovable when I fix, heal, or prove my love. Energetically, super empaths radiate warmth, compassion, and understanding, frequencies that the avoidant, often starved of emotional safety, finds irresistible. The empath's light penetrates the avoidant's armor, awakening feelings they've long buried. Yet paradoxically, that same light also overwhelms them, triggering their fear of dependence and emotional exposure. The result, the classic push-pull dynamic. The empath gives more, the avoidant retreats further. Emotionally, being a super empath can feel like carrying the world's pain in your chest. You sense when someone's heart is breaking, even if they smile. You forgive easily, love endlessly, and hope relentlessly. But this deep empathy, when unguarded, can lead to exhaustion, heartbreak, and emotional depletion. To be a super empath is to possess an extraordinary power, the power to feel, to heal, and to love beyond measure. But the real mastery lies not in saving others, but in saving yourself first, learning to channel that emotional depth inward, where true transformation begins. The dismissive avoidant attachment style is one of the most misunderstood emotional patterns in relationships. On the surface, these individuals often appear calm, confident, and self-sufficient, but underneath that exterior lies a deep fear of vulnerability and emotional dependence. They have learned to survive by relying solely on themselves, keeping others at arm's length, and suppressing their emotional needs. Psychologically, this attachment style usually develops in childhood homes, where emotional expression was discouraged, minimized, or even punished. When a child's need for comfort or validation is met with coldness or rejection, they learn an essential survival rule: it's safer not to need anyone. As adults, this belief solidifies into emotional detachment, independence to the point of isolation, and discomfort with intimacy. A dismissive avoidant often values logic over emotion. They prefer control, stability, and predictability, anything that prevents them from feeling out of control or dependent. When someone gets too close, their internal alarm system activates, convincing them that connection equals danger. This triggers behaviors such as withdrawal, silence, or emotional shutdown. It's not that they don't feel, it's that they've trained themselves not to show it. Their key traits include emotional distance. They struggle to express affection openly and may seem indifferent to their partner's needs. Hyper-independence. They pride themselves on not needing anyone, viewing dependence as weakness. Suppressed vulnerability. Deep emotions make them uncomfortable, leading to denial or avoidance of emotional conversations. Fear of intimacy. The closer someone gets, the stronger their instinct to retreat. Self-reliance as armor. They trust themselves but rarely trust others with their emotional world. Control and withdrawal. When threatened, they regain safety by pulling away or minimizing the relationship's importance. Emotionally, dismissive avoidants carry silent wounds. Beneath their cool detachment often hides an unacknowledged longing for love, but their fear of being hurt again keeps that longing buried. They may crave connection yet sabotage it unconsciously, pushing away the very people who could love them deeply. Understanding the dismissive avoidant isn't about labeling them as cold or unfeeling, it's about recognizing that their distance is a form of protection. It's the invisible armor forged by emotional neglect, and while it may keep pain away, it also keeps love at a painful distance. There's something almost magnetic about the connection between an empath and a dismissive avoidant. Just when you begin to let go, when you finally reclaim your energy, they reappear in your thoughts, in your dreams, or even in real life. It's as if an invisible current pulls you back toward them. This isn't coincidence. It's the result of a deep energetic bond that operates beneath conscious awareness. Every human being emits a subtle electromagnetic field, an energetic signature shaped by thoughts, emotions, and intentions. When two people share a profound emotional connection, these fields begin to synchronize, especially between empaths and avoidants, whose energies are almost opposite but deeply reactive to one another. The empath's open, expansive energy reaches outward, constantly giving and seeking connection. The avoidant's energy, in contrast, contracts inward, defending itself from emotional invasion. This energetic contrast creates tension, and that tension becomes the pull. When the avoidant withdraws, they unconsciously leave an energetic void. The empath, who is wired to sense disconnection, instinctively tries to fill it, emotionally and energetically. The more the avoidant retreats, the more the empath's energy chases, creating a feedback loop of pursuit and resistance. This dynamic isn't about neediness, it's about resonance. Two energies vibrating at different frequencies, trying to stabilize each other, even if it hurts. Psychologically, the empath feels this pull as longing or unfinished business. Energetically, it's a soul-level attempt to restore balance, to heal what feels unresolved. Meanwhile, the avoidant, though distant, feels the shift too. When the empath begins detaching, their absence disrupts the equilibrium. The avoidant, without even realizing it, senses that void and is drawn back, compelled to re-engage just enough to re-establish energetic balance. This invisible dance continues until one or both individuals consciously change their frequency through healing, boundaries, and self-awareness. When the empath learns to contain their energy instead of leaking it into the void, the magnetic tension begins to fade. The connection doesn't disappear overnight, but the emotional charge weakens. What you feel when they pull away isn't obsession, it's energy seeking resolution. The moment you reclaim that energy and bring it back into yourself, the cycle begins to break. That's when power shifts and healing truly begins. The connection between a super empath and a dismissive avoidant often unfolds like a magnetic storm, intense, unpredictable, and cyclical. It begins with the pull, an undeniable attraction that feels fated. The empath is drawn to the avoidant's mystery, calmness, and emotional depth hidden beneath the surface. The avoidant, in turn, is drawn to the empath's warmth and acceptance, a kind of love that feels safe yet terrifyingly intimate. For a moment, both feel balance, as if they've found what they were missing. But soon after connection comes the push. As the bond deepens, the avoidant begins to feel emotionally exposed, a sensation that triggers their deepest fear, losing control. Vulnerability feels dangerous, so they retreat, becoming distant, cold, or dismissive. To the empath, this sudden shift feels like abandonment, igniting anxiety and confusion. The more the empath tries to reach out, the more the avoidant shuts down. The energetic balance collapses. One chases, the other hides. Then comes the return. Once the empath begins to pull back, stop reaching, and recenter emotionally, the dynamic reverses. The avoidant, now sensing emotional distance, feels a subtle vacuum, the same emptiness they tried to avoid. They start missing the warmth they once resisted, and are magnetically drawn back, often without understanding why. This loop, pull, push, return, becomes an emotional tide, repeating until awareness breaks it. It's not manipulation, it's unhealed energy seeking resolution. Both the empath and avoidant are caught in each other's emotional gravity, trying to find balance between closeness and safety. The cycle only ends when one learns to stand still in self-awareness, to love without losing themselves, and to detach without closing their heart. That's when the magnetic storm finally settles into peace. Super empaths often don't realize that their deepest strengths, compassion, loyalty, and emotional intuition, can also become traps that keep the avoidant cycle alive. Their natural instinct is to fix, to heal, to understand. When the avoidant withdraws, the empath's first reaction is self-blame. Maybe I said something wrong. Maybe if I love harder, they'll stay. This self-sacrificing mindset feeds the cycle. Instead of pulling back, the empath leans in, offering more reassurance, more patience, more love. But this only reinforces the avoidant's fear of being consumed or controlled, pushing them further away. The empath then experiences rejection, interprets it as a challenge, and tries even harder to prove their worth. Another pattern is emotional over-responsibility, taking on the avoidant's wounds as their own. The empath absorbs their pain, hoping love will heal it, yet this energetic merging blurs boundaries, leaving the empath drained and disconnected from themselves. These patterns persist because the empath's love often masks a subconscious fear of abandonment. Breaking the cycle means learning that real love doesn't chase, rescue, or prove. It allows space, respects distance, and chooses peace over emotional chaos. That's where healing begins. When a dismissive avoidant returns after pulling away, it's rarely random. It's driven by hidden emotional and energetic triggers. Though they appear detached, avoidants are not immune to connection. Deep down, they crave the same intimacy they fear. And when that connection is suddenly withdrawn, it unsettles them more than they admit. The moment the empath detaches, stops reaching out, stops waiting, stops chasing, a quiet shift occurs. The avoidant senses the emotional absence, like an echo in the energetic field. What once felt suffocating now feels strangely empty. This contrast awakens resonance, the memory of the warmth, safety, and unconditional acceptance the empath provided. The avoidant begins to miss what they couldn't handle before. This return isn't always conscious, it's instinctive. The avoidant is drawn back to restore the emotional equilibrium that feels disrupted. Your silence becomes magnetic, not because they're ready for change, but because the energetic thread between you tugs at their unhealed parts. In truth, they come back seeking comfort in the familiar energy of your empathy. Yet lasting healing only happens when that return meets a new kind of strength. Your boundaries, self-worth, and emotional independence. Breaking free from the empath-avoidant cycle requires more than distance. It demands energetic clarity and strong emotional boundaries. For the empath, healing begins with reclaiming your energy from the dynamic that's been draining you. Every time you overgive, explain, or wait for them to change, your energy leaks outward. The first step is learning to contain that energy, to direct your empathy toward yourself. Boundary setting means redefining love as mutual respect, not emotional rescue. It's saying, I will care, but I won't carry. Boundaries aren't walls. They're filters that protect your peace while allowing genuine connection. They teach the avoidant, and your own subconscious, that love doesn't require self-abandonment. Equally important is energetic hygiene, the practice of clearing emotional residue that isn't yours. Meditation, journaling, breathwork, time in nature, and intentional solitude help you separate your energy from theirs. Visualize cutting the invisible cords of emotional dependency, reminding yourself that their healing isn't your responsibility. When you stop chasing, rescuing, or overfeeling for them, your frequency shifts, the magnetic tension dissolves. You begin to attract peace instead of chaos, and from that calm, real love, the kind that doesn't hurt, finally has room to grow. Healing as a super empath begins with turning your extraordinary sensitivity inward, learning to give yourself the love, validation, and safety you've always offered others. Your empathy is your greatest strength, but without grounding, it becomes self-sacrifice. The key to transformation lies in recognizing that you don't have to earn love through fixing or overgiving. You are already worthy simply by being. Begin by acknowledging the wounds beneath your compassion, the childhood moments where you felt unseen, where love was conditional, where you became the emotional caretaker too early. These memories silently shape your adult relationships, drawing you toward people who repeat those same emotional patterns. Healing means bringing those younger parts of you into awareness, comforting them, and rewriting their old belief, I am safe to love and be loved without losing myself. To build a secure connection, practice emotional balance, giving without depletion, listening without absorbing, loving without losing identity. Surround yourself with people who meet your openness with consistency, not avoidance. Choose relationships that feel peaceful, not addictive. When your empathy is anchored in self-respect and boundaries, it stops attracting pain and begins attracting reciprocity. That's when your light becomes healing, not draining for both you and those you love. The bond between a super empath and a dismissive avoidant is rarely ordinary. It's intense, karmic, and deeply transformative. It exposes both the light and shadow within you. For the empath, it becomes a journey of learning where compassion ends and self-neglect begins. For the avoidant, it's a mirror that reflects the love they fear, yet secretly desire. But this connection isn't meant to destroy you. It's meant to awaken you. The pain you felt was never punishment. It was guidance, pointing you back to yourself. Every time the avoidant withdrew, the universe was teaching you to stop seeking safety outside of you. Every silent treatment was an invitation to build emotional strength. Every comeback was a test. Will you repeat the pattern, or will you choose yourself this time? Your next steps start with gentle self-reclamation. Reconnect with your body, your breath, your boundaries. Practice saying no without guilt and yes without fear. Reinvest the love you kept giving away into your healing through journaling, therapy, energy work, or time alone in stillness. Most importantly, remember this: real connection doesn't feel like chasing, it feels like peace. When you anchor into your worth, the cycle breaks naturally, and love, the kind that meets you halfway, begins to find you. Your healing becomes your magnetism, your peace becomes your power. And this time, you become the one who never walks away from yourself again. If this message resonated with your heart, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Your support helps this community grow and heal together. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay connected for more deep insights on attachment, emotional healing, and the psychology of real love.